Headlines on Breaking Views this morning. The Bankia fraud case will help prompt a Spanish banking cleanup, and the team argues that Barclays will find it tough to undo Bob Diamond's handiwork. With me is Robert Cole. Looking forward to talking to you about Bob Diamond again, Robert. Bankia, let's start with that.
No shortage of bad news from the banking industry for a very long time.
Absolutely, but the High Court in Spain has opened this case against 33 former board members. Yeah. I mean, this is astonishing.
Absolutely, and I think that, the way to look at this perhaps is that, we have, as you said, been obsessed by Bob Diamond and Barclays and LIBOR over the last few days. But I think, that what's going on in Spain here, certainly in a Spanish context, is probably far and away more serious. The levels, they're all allegations, let's not be trying to prejudice them or anything like this. But, there's one line I think that somebody saying in our Reuters story, it was like, what we're doing here is trying to get the people who are pre-selling tickets for the Titanic.
Yes.
So they're raising money in the Bankia flotation of last summer. And, a lot of small shareholders were invited, persuaded, whatever, to try and to prop up this bank. When, with the benefit of hindsight, it seems that this bank was only ever going to go one way. So there is a level of dissatisfaction in Spain and people's money on the line, which might actually make.
But and this is just Bankia at the moment. But you think this might widen?
No, I don't think there's any evidence for that. I think it's quite Bankia specific. But of course, it does get wider because you remember Bankia is a conglomeration of quite a lot of smaller banks. And yes, and us, Axel, we're always glass half full, and we in Breaking Views, unlike you, and we hope that actually this is being put out there, and perhaps a rapid clean-up will serve the industry better.
Let's talk about Barclays. Your story, or George Hayes' story, is about the investment bank and the retail bank. What's going to happen now? What opportunities this brings up? Now, I know George has written about this before. Just quickly though, what did you make of Bob Diamond's performance yesterday?
I thought that they were all losers. Yeah, actually, there was nobody who came out on top. I think Bob Diamond looked pretty nervous, pretty sort of. Didn't quite seem to want to answer the questions. But then again, the questions that were set by the parliamentary committee, I don't think were particularly incisive. I think their questioning was too diffuse. I don't think we really got any further on with the story. I don't think the committee did themselves very well. I don't think Barclays came out of it very well either. I mean, the people who must be kind of slightly smug here are the other banks who aren't being drawn into this.
Well, and
we'll see.
Let's see that. Okay, let's quickly talk about the opportunity now to spin off the investment bank. Do you think that's going to happen? And can it stand alone? Well, is it strong enough to stand alone?
We wrote earlier in the week that this was a strategic option, and the nature of the Bob Diamond replacement would give us a clue about what the board was thinking, and indeed the other way around. The board should be thinking about the strategic options in the kind of appointment it made, and if it made an investment banker as a replacement to Bob Diamond, status quo might be continuing if there's a retail banker. Well, and there are a lot of people who followed it up and said this is a good idea, and we've got Vickers and ring fencing. I think that, and we said in that piece, and we sort of go into a bit more detail in here, that doesn't necessarily mean that the two sides are split apart. And what we're saying here is that while there may be a re-emphasis of the way this bank is going and the strategic options that they're exploring, actually splitting it off would be an enormously difficult and time-consuming thing, basically because the one side depends on the other for its cost of funding.
Okay.
And so we'll have to wait and see, but I don't think it's going to be easy getting out of this one.
Okay, Robert, many thanks. For more agenda setting insight, watch our US Breaking Views show every day, 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 BST. I'm Axel Throvel. This is Reuters.